Hey guys, today we have the LG G3 and we'll be installing the full body kit in dark brown leather. Now it does look like it could be black leather, but once compared to a black film, you can clearly tell that the skin that we will be installing is dark brown. Now for the kit, this piece is the back. You get a camera cover and a skin for the buttons. And the front, you usually get 4 pieces, but 2 different styles. You could tell this one has 2 individual sensors cut out, and this is converted into a singular one. This is based on your preference, but you have that option to choose which one. Now also you get 2 sets of these sides, but for install purposes we only have one here. Now to start off the install, we're going to start with the front. Now my choice for the video is that we're going to use the 2 sensor cutout. Now this shows a little bit more detail, and all you have to do to install this particular piece is to line it up around the individual cutouts and make sure that it has a nice border around the edges. Now if you have to realign any particular piece of the upper portion of the front skin, you can lightly lift it up, because if you use too much tension, since it is a small piece, it will stretch, and then those cutouts won't be aligned no more. And the bottom installs the same way. All you have to do is make sure that you do reach the edge to the other edge, and make sure that it is seamless and it is a very precise cutout as well. So there's going to be minimal border once you install it, and it'll give the front a nice brown leather effect. Now if you look at the bottom right here, you can notice the contrast between the brown and the black. Now continuing on with our installation, we're going to be installing the back piece. Now to install the back, you don't need to use your wax paper on this one. You just have to use the 3 upper areas as a pivot point and make sure that you have a perfect alignment around the speaker. Now to start, you want to make sure the areas around the flash, the camera, the buttons, and the other mic cutout is aligned. And then you'll be able to position the speaker on the bottom as well. Once you have these sections aligned correctly, as it looks like a good fitment here, you just want to push all the air bubbles out and start from the middle out to the sides. Also, on the top and bottom, you want to press in the middle section, and you want to push in the middle area on the actual longer sides of the back. Now the corners, you want to leave slightly raised and leave a small radius around those lifts, because in order to get the nice curvature of the phone from your skin, you're going to have to heat them. And by having these slight lifts, it will make it easier to install. Now before we start heating, just make sure around the power adapter and the headphone port that you press that area down. Now this will make for a better alignment when you're heating. Now while heating the corners, you want to lift up the heated material. You'll see that the material does get soft, and then start by pressing the middle of that softened area down, and then press it down from side to side. Now let's finish off the lower section of the back around the power cable port, and let's move this stuff out of the way so we can see how our progress is going. As you can tell, the back skin is very precise, and once installation is done, it'll look like a brown leather cap on the back of your phone. So let's continue on with the other corner. So just for a little information, the goal is to press up on the softened material and then press it down in the middle and then go side to side to even it out. You don't want to press it down while the material isn't soft enough because you could cause a crease, but minor creases are always fixable. But that's to an extent. Now that we completed the other corner on the bottom of the back, you can tell that it is coming along and it is almost seamless as a replacement back cover. Now we're going to press down the middle section of the top of the back skin. And like what we did before, we're going to leave the two corners lifted. Now let's get a little closer for these upper two corners, just so that you guys get a more detailed idea on how to install the corners, because sometimes they could be a little tricky. So we have a radius of the corner that is lifted and not stuck to the back of the device. So during the installation process, you want to keep that area lifted until it starts to get soft. As you can tell, it almost wants to start to crease if we were to press it down in this current point in time. Now as the material softens, you just want to split it down the middle and then go from one side and then to the other, and it rounds out the corner. Alright, we're 3/4 of the way done with the back skin, and we only have one more corner to install. And as you can tell, the back skin is a nice even border around the sides. Now you can leave it like that with just the back skin on there to add a custom top or cap, you could say. But for the purposes of the video, we will be installing the sides as well. So let's finish up this corner and we'll repeat the steps that we had done previously. So you want to heat it until the material starts to get soft and it lifts. You want to press it in the middle and then press it to one side and then the other. So far so good. And now we're adding a brown leather flare to our device. Now with a closer inspection of the back skin, you can tell that the install of the back skin did not fall below that chrome line, which is a good thing. And if it did, some pinching or just tucking it in between the seam may be involved. But in this case, it's not necessary. Okay guys, before I start with the installation of the sides, let me give you a little bit of an explanation. This is the bottom. Next to it is the top, and you get 4 of the sides. You only have to use 2, but since they're small, thin, there's 2 extra ones just in case that there is the chance of a foul up. And depending on the install of the top and bottom piece, is how easy and seamless the sides will be installed. So with that said, we will install the top portion of the sides first. You just want to center the 2 cutouts on the top and make sure that it touches the back skin. As you can tell, it covers that chrome line and it does make a nice clean connection to the back. So you just want to press it around the curved edge. There will be a tunnel around the corners, but that's not going to be an issue. That will be taken care of very shortly. You just want to press them down lightly. because that edge is where you're going to make a connection to the thinner side. But before we install the thinner side, we're just going to heat those two lifted corners down. And then once they're heated, you just want to press them out. Now, what we just did previously, we heated down the two flaps that contour the curved edges of the phone, because these sides are perpendicular, and if when trying to make that connection, if it's off and not heated down, it will move from side to side and it will look angled almost. You can tell there is a slight lift on the top as well. So we're just going to heat that down as well, and we're going to follow the method of pressing it down from side to side. Now, if you guys take a nice good look to the area where the back connects to the sides, you can tell how precise this cutout for the LG G3 actually is. Now, we're going to continue on with the bottom. Now, we do this in order to set up a boundary for the two smaller sides to be installed and aligned correctly in a straight line. Because by putting the top and bottom on, it'll be putting on two connecting points. But to install the bottom, you just want to make sure that it is flush to the seam of the back skin and the cutouts are aligned correctly around the headphone port and the power cable port. You may have to push so it will tuck into that line so you can get that nice exact install. But once you do this, you just continue on like what we did with the previous piece. You just make sure that it contours around the edge and stays flush to the back so that the edge of the bottom piece of the side is even, and that the thin sides will not contour or be angled like I said before. As long as there's a straight line on the two flaps that contour the edge, then the two smaller sides will be installed fairly easily. Now, with the previous piece, there was a lift around the middle and the two edges. So you want to just heat these areas and press those flaps down first. And then continue on by heating the corner here, in the middle, and on the other edge. And then once these areas have been heated, in a side-to-side motion, you just want to press it down, and then press it down to the other side. The two corners are down, and now you just want to press down the middle to make sure that it sticks to your device. Now that we have these two areas installed of the side wrap, we're going to continue on and install the thin sides that will cover that chrome-like border. Now, other competitors does not cover this thin area of space, but with this particular kit, it covers the whole phone. Now, if you notice when I said to keep the flap straight, to keep a nice straight line so that the thin sides won't flex out or turn to one side or the other, so it will make another straight line connection to the opposite end of the top and bottom sides. We did not have to contract or stretch this thin piece at all because the install on the top and bottom were very even, so it made almost the side wrap fall into place. Now it's time to install the final side. This may or may not be as easy as the previous one. You may have to stretch or contract the skin just in case that it doesn't fit exact to perfection as well as the first one. You can see that it needs to be stretch just a slight bit to make that flush connection to the lower one. So gently, you just want to lift it up and give it a slight pull, just so that it'll make a nice, even edge-to-edge connection to the bottom of the larger side. Just a little bit more, so we don't see any silver. And there you go. Now, our final step to complete the install of this phone is to install the camera cover and the skin for the buttons. To do so, all 4 pieces you can connect on a single piece of Scotch tape. They will all line up correctly with one install, as long as you keep it nice and even. Once you feel confident with your placement, all you have to do is press it down to release it from the Scotch tape, and then one final press to make sure that everything is stuck correctly. Now finally, just give the back and the buttons and the camera cover a once over with your hairdryer, just to make sure that a contour is right. This has been the dark brown leather full body kit for the LG G3. Thanks for watching.